Hello and welcome to you.dev. My name is Paul. I am a computer whisperer. I've been using internet services for a long time. Actually used Apple eWorld way back in the day, and that makes me feel very old. Let's learn how the internet works from scratch. Some previous knowledge is required before we do this. Mainly you should know what a computer is. Display, keyboard, mouse, old computer, new computer, doesn't matter. Yeah, you should know storage, memory, processor. Those words should not be foreign to you. You should be comfortable using a desktop environment, whether it be Microsoft Windows or Apple Mac OS X, or an alternative. There are many alternatives. You should also know what HTML and CSS look like, but that's less important in this video. More importantly, you should just know generally that computers use networks to speak to each other. You should also know generally that an internet service provider, when you get internet access at your house, say, will give you a public IP address. You should know generally, yeah, you use the public IP address to speak to other computers in the world. So great, let's learn HTTP. This is the fourth acronym in our introduction to learning how the internet works. And, well, arguably the most important. They all kind of fit together. Without this acronym, we could not speak to other computers far away and get web pages from them. Let's learn what this means. This is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP. You've most likely seen this all over the place if you use the internet and you use a web browser. This is what precedes most web requests. And you will see an S on here as well. Hey, let's play around. Sometimes you will see an S on the end of there, and that's the secure version of Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Fun times. All right, let's learn some jargon. Protocol. Yeah, that's kind of a spooky sounding word if we're new to, computer science and internet business. What is protocol? In computing, it's a set of rules describing how systems or applications, programs, can talk to each other, over the network or what have you. An IP address. Well, if we're getting on the internet before, you probably have heard this phrase, and you may have seen your IP address before. This is a unique number assigned to a computer on a network. And a computer may have multiple IP addresses depending on how if it's connected to multiple cables or multiple Wi-Fi networks or what have you. A port. All right, this is one of many discrete channels, quote-unquote channels used by a computer to communicate on a network. So for one IP address, you can have upwards, 65,000 separate channels to communicate in the form of ports on your computer. Pretty crazy, eh? All right, we're going to get into a little bit of that in just a second here. All right, and we're back. Sorry, I had to step away for a second. Let's do a demo. Okay, in our previous 3 videos, brief introductory videos to internet technology, we had generated our first HTML here. We could take a glance at it and wince and go, oh, yeah, But at least we proved to ourselves, that we can recognize HTML. We can recognize CSS. Hey, we've even learned a tiny bit of JavaScript. We wrote a function so we can, put content into a part of the page. And hey, there you go. Hooray! Awesome. So yeah, we have a JavaScript function that can go manipulate the elements on the page. Pretty nifty. But yeah, you'll notice when we've been working, we've been accessing our first HTML page via file protocol. It says file : / And then it shows a path on my storage on my computer. It goes into the users folder, my folder, Paul, hello. The desktop folder, that's where our first HTML document is. But, when we're going on the internet, we can't rightly tell people, hey, go to my hard drive and open up my files. That's kind of weird, right? Normally when we're asking for files on someone else's computer or a web server or something, it's done with HTTP, right? Well, let's see if we can figure out how to get an HTTP server running so we can perhaps look at this page remotely, maybe not super remotely, but like across the network. I'm going to close this for now, and let's rename our first HTML document here. I'm going to single click on that, hit return key, and it allows us to rename the file. I'm going to write the word index and then hit return again. I have renamed this file index.html. Why have I done this? Well, we're about to launch a web server, and by default, this is kind of a tradition of web servers. By default, when a web server is requested, some resource or some directory, it will look to the index.html file first and pull that, and that will be what is presented to a user asking for web services. So, sounds a little abstract. Let's start up a web server and see what that means. I'm going to hit Command Space to bring up Spotlight. I'm going to type the word terminal and hit Enter. Don't be scared. This is a command line interface in Mac OS X. I'll do a Windows version of all of these intro videos too, and do a PowerShell and Notepad++. But yeah, for right now, we're just in a Mac OS environment. This is Mac OS Terminal. It's a little small. I'm going to hit Command+++ a few times and just increase the size here, and let's describe what we see. We're not going to freak out. This is the title bar of the terminal window. It shows I'm in my home folder. It shows the word bash. That is the shell that I'm using, the terminal shell. So we can send commands to our computer. Underneath the hood, we can send commands to the kernel. We'll get into all this later, but it shows the last time I logged in was right there. Here's Paul's MacBook. That's the computer I am on. This little squiggly line here, the tilde, represents my home folder. I know that's kind of a strange little shortcut there, or a character, but that means I'm in my home folder. Here is the username I am logged in as, and this $sign is the prompt. It's asking for a command, and I can type the word, or the letters rather, LS, short for list, and hit enter, and it can display all the contents of my home folder. Hey, there's the desktop. That yeah, that's right here. Let's see if we can go into the desktop. I'm going to type the letters CD, short for change directory, and then I'm going to hit a space, and then type a capital DES. I'm about to finish typing the word desktop, but I'm going to use a little shortcut here in the shell and hit the tab key, and it's going to fill in the rest for me. Ooh, and it's got the little trailing slash. That means we're going to go inside a folder. So CD desktop, I'm going to hit enter. We are now inside the desktop. Cool. Now, how do we do a web server? We got this index file here. How do we serve it over the network? Well, if you have the Python language installed, we're not going to learn Python right now, but we can use some of its tools. Mac OS has Python installed by default. I am hoping this is going to work for you. I'm going to type the word Python, hit space, then type a -m. We're going to ask Python to use one of its modules, and you're going to have to type this next one very specifically, so look out here. I'm going to ask Python to use one of its modules, the simple, with a capital S, all capitals, HTTP, capital S, server, and then hit another space. I'm not hitting enter yet. And then we can choose a port. We learned what a port is. We can choose a port that we want to serve on. And to keep things simple, try to choose like a 4-digit port. You need special permissions to use ports under 1,000 or so. So let's type in like 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to ask Python, hey, launch a simple HTTP server on port 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to hit enter and zoom out. So we are on the desktop, and we're asking Python to use a module. Oh, hey, now we're serving HTTP on 000. That's kind of funny. This is sort of a network network talk for like exposed to all addresses that want to ask for HTTP of us now on this computer that I'm using. So I'm going to try a little trick here. I hope this works. I've got a mobile device on a hand on the side here. Maybe I can get this all synchronized. I'm going to go into a web browser now. These two devices are on the same network, but I want to be able to see this crazy site of ours across the network, even if only on my own little small home network. So I am now on the uh, Mac OS computer going to hit Command Space, and I'm going to type in network and pull up the network utility. That network utility says that I have an IP address on my local network as 192.168.1.21. I'm going to go on to the mobile device, and I'm going to type in 192.168.1.21. But now I'm going to do a special thing because we're serving on a specific port here. By default, HTTP speaks on port 80, and if you do the secure version, it speaks on port 443, but we're doing a special port right now. So I'm going to do :1234 and hit enter. Hey, there's our website, and we can see this HTTP server is saying, hey, someone on address 19 is asking for some files. Oh, hey, and it said there was a 404. Hey, they had a file not found. It was trying to find a little cute icon for our website. The browser was, but we don't have that. We're not serving that right now. So we got a 404. That's an HTTP error code. So that's crazy. Yeah, here I am on my Android. We have that little click me. Granted, we're not too deep into CSS, so this looks very different on a mobile, but we can click me and it prompts, and we can type in something and change the content on the page. How about that? HTTP, this is how you can ask for web resources or just kind of any resources, web pages, movies, audio, over the network. And you can ask for files over the public internet as well, the public network. And yeah, let's do a couple of other little things and we can learn some more about HTTP. Let's lift the hood on a web browser and see what's going on inside there. I'm going to close network utility. On this Python simple HTTP server, I'm going to hit Control-C, and a bunch of creepy stuff's going to happen. You can ignore that and type in the word clear if you want to keep your terminal clean. Ah, very nice. And heck, I'm going to close this as well. We're going to go into the browser now, so I'm going to open up the favorite browser. And here we are. Now, before I go anywhere, I want to open up the network panel, because we're talking about networks and IP addresses a whole bunch right now. We're talking about HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Let's go under View, Developer, Developer Tools. Sure, let's go into Developer Tools. Our side panel opens up, and up at the top we have Console. We've been to Console before. There's some elements that shows the elements on the page displayed right now. I'm going to make the window increase it in size there. There we go. There is a network tab inside this developer toolkit. Let's keep an eye on this and start navigating around just to random websites and start looking at HTTP calls. All right, I may, no, this is fine. You know what, I'm going to keep this on the right-hand side. Depending on your monitor, you may want to keep your network pane on the bottom, but let's go to one of our favorite websites, stackoverflow.com. And I'm going to hit enter, and that's going to trigger an HTTP GET request. All right. Oh, yeah, we have a bunch of gets. Look at that. Holy smoke. So if you do not have this method column in your network tab, right-click or two-finger click on Apple and click the checkbox, or make sure this is checked next to method. I just removed it. I'm going to add it back. Method. So the main method we use to navigate around on the internet inside a browser is get. Get is just requesting records, all these little tiny graphics. You can see these SVGs. Those are scalable vector graphics. We'll get into all this later. Just kind of want to give you a tour. Yeah, these are all HTTP gets, everything needed to build this page that we see right here. And yeah, we can see, oh, we're preserving the log right now. That means as we navigate to different pages, it's going to keep this big trail of gets. Watch what happens if I turn this off and then click on, let's say, login. Oh, it flushed the logs. You can see it flushed the logs there. All right, I'm going to choose to preserve the logs again. And now here we are, like just some regular web page, you know. Oh, programmers come here very often. I'm going to type in something like, hey, looks like I've typed testing into another email form before. Let's go ahead and use that too. I'm going to type in some cool password. So you can see, ooh, there's a different kind of HTTP method here, a post. Looks like it's Stack Overflow is doing some kind of a call back to the server with a little bundle of information or something. Let's continue keeping an eye on this. I am going to flush the logs right here with this little cross out symbol. That's clear. And I'm going to preserve these logs. And let's click login. So when we're on an HTML form and we click submit on that form, it usually forms an HTTP post request. And it bundles up some information. Granted, yeah, that wasn't a real username and password, but it bundles up some information. Let's take a look at this track post here. It looks like it was an XHR. All right, brace yourself for this one. This is short for XML Http Request. What on earth is that? All right, XML is a way of bundling information from like a website or whatever. It looks very much like HTML, but it's, yeah, kind of a data structure, shall we say. And HTTP we know now. So that's a way of sending information or receiving information from web servers and a request. So we just made a bundled data request. We're sending a request back at Stack Overflow. Let's click on track and some more stuff pops up. Holy smoke, I'm going to expand our inspector window and let's take a look at this. Here's some general request information. We made that request to Stack Overflow login here. We made a post. Hey, there's the remote address. That's Stack Overflow's real address when we were going to knock on their door and leave a package. We were doing so on port 443. And excellent, there's a bunch of other spooky information. Hey, they're running a Microsoft web server. Boo! I'm joking, sorry. All right, let me stop airing my opinions there. Let's fold up response headers. And hey, we have some request headers. That's us sending them some special information here. There's that kind of XML or XWW form. That's the style of a form we're sending. Let's fold that up. Ooh, we have some form data. So when we filled out this form, we made a little bundle of information, and there's our password sitting right there. Ooh, I hope it's delivered securely. We look at that padlock, and yeah, you know, we trust that this information is just between us and Stack Overflow. So you can always click on that padlock and say, is Stack Overflow who they say they are? We can click and make sure, yeah, you know what, this is pretty valid. Stack Exchange, Stack Overflow, they are who they say they are, so we can trust them when we see that padlock and send our password. So that's a little bit of lifting the hood on HTTP in your web browser. We're going to get way, way deeper into all this, but I really wanted to emphasize the first 4 acronyms anyone should learn when they're learning how the internet works. HTML, you know, short for Hypertext Markup Language. CSS, short for Cascading Style Sheets, makes the website look beautiful. JS, JavaScript, which makes the web page behave in special ways. You know, it gets some interactivity. And HTTP, which is a way of requesting web resources or sending information over the internet. We are slowly but surely going to learn exactly how the internet works. Hang in there, folks. You are so awesome. Paul from you.dev signing out. Peace.